Hello and welcome back, podcast people. I'm your host, Reese. And on this episode, the Introverted Nerd watches season 1, episode 4 of Black Lightning, Black Jesus. Oh, this was a good episode. This was a funny episode. This feels more like the kind of episode we can expect, like just a regular old episode of Black Lightning. There's, where there's no major kidnapping of Jeff's children, and there's no we're not killing Latavius's, there's no big surprise of the episode. It's sort of part of the story. It's sort of the build up to the big moments instead of, because every week can't be kill Latavius and kill LaWanda, shocking moments. So this was pretty good. I've got some problems with it, or just questions about things that have happened, but for the most part, I enjoyed it. So before we get into it, you can follow me on Twitter at TINerdPod. On Instagram, I'm at The Introverted Nerd, and like the Facebook page at facebook.com/The Introverted Nerd. And you can email me feedback or just whatever to talk. I don't know. At theintrovertednerd@gmail.com. Why am I doing that? I sing. Obviously you can hear me. I cannot sing, but I've been singing for no reason. I just break into song, and I'm not like a singy person, but for some reason I've been very sing-songy. So Black Jesus. We're going to go by character because it will be here all night if I try to go through episode point by point. So let's start with my least favorite. Not bad, but my least favorite, Jennifer. What the hell is going on with her, y'all? I don't know what it is. She's got a lot going on, and if you're not paying attention, you'll blame it on, well, her boyfriend got shot, or she was kidnapped by a crazy guy. She got involved with the 100 gang. You'd want to blame those things, but then if you think about it and remember, Jennifer was sort of rebelling and doing her own thing in the first episode. That's how she, went to the 100 gang club, and she was not drinking, but she's, smoking weed in the club. And so what is going on with her? I don't know. So in this episode, it's been 2 weeks since the shooting. Khalil is obviously still in the hospital, and she's been spending, most of her free time, I guess, and more time than Jeff and Lynn like with Khalil at the hospital. She has been skipping track practice, and she's gotten to a little tiff with her track coach. So Jennifer has got some things going on. We see Khalil is in a pretty good mood for a dude that doesn't know whether he'll be paralyzed for the rest of his life. I'm thinking at the beginning of this episode, he's still optimistic, so he's happy. It's more like he's trying to keep Jennifer's spirits up. She never shows him that she's scared. She actually goes out in the hallway when she's leaving once, and she cries in the hallway, but she never shows him, but he actually feels more optimistic than she is. So That's a good thing. There's actually a moment where two nurses, after he gets finished his physical therapy, two nurses are standing in the hallway talking about Khalil and his condition, like with each other. They're making comments about how he'll never walk. This is so fucked up. They're making comments about how he'll never walk again, and it's he. They feel like one of them said that they're people shouldn't be getting his hopes up, and they're so loud that Jennifer and Khalil could hear them inside the room. And Jennifer tells them, they're assholes basically for, he can hear them, you're assholes. What the fuck are you doing? And this is so fucked up. But Khalil's the one that ends up positive about, after this happens. He's like, ignore them. But okay, so I'm on an island by myself because I don't trust Khalil. I haven't been a huge fan of him. Like, he's a good looking guy, whatever. And, but I'm so waiting for him to still take a turn for the bad. So, I never trust him, but this is like fucked up. He's like in the hospital, and I've worked in the hospital before. There are HIPAA signs all over the fucking place. In the elevator, walking down the hall, just randomly on walls to let the doctors, nurses, everybody know that you shouldn't be talking about patients' medical conditions in public. So it's just really fucked up that they're just casually having a conversation. Like, they're right outside of his door. It is so fucked up. So Jeff and Lynn talked to Jennifer, like I said, about about skipping track practice. They want her to focus more on herself instead of spending so much time with Khalil. And Jennifer saying that, Khalil needs her. Jeff and Lynn are sympathetic, but they tell her she's their concern, and she has to get her shit together. And she has to apologize to her track coach for talking back and getting into an argument with him. And Jennifer actually tells them that she wants to quit track, and Lynn and Jeff are not happy about it, especially Jeff. Jeff is not happy about her wanting to quit. Lynn says, hey, you love track, you don't want to quit. And Jennifer tells them that the only reason she continued with track was because she wanted to bond. I believe it was to bond with her father, or just to make her father proud of her, because Jeff is a former Olympian. I'm not sure whether he was ever a medalist, but he's definitely a former Olympian. But Lynn tries to say, no, that's not true. You didn't do this just for your father. You love it. Jennifer's not feeling it. So they end that conversation by Lynn telling her, wait 2 days. And if you still feel the same way, then you can quit. You can do what you want and quit. Jeff is not happy with that, but he sort of lets her walk away. And when I was live tweeting this, somebody on Twitter, I can't remember who said it, but somebody on Twitter said that Jeff and Lynn don't really know Jennifer that well, because, they're both saying, well, Lynn is telling her that she loves it. And Jennifer is, she's 16 years old. I believe she's 16 years old. She's telling them, I don't really like track. I've never really liked track. And they just don't want to hear it. So, I don't know. I don't get what's going on with her. And I'm not really that interested. I'm sorry. So I've been spoiled. I know that she's going to get powers eventually, like Anissa. And I believe her name is Lightning. That's her that's going to be her name. So I'm guessing that her powers are going to be closer to what Jeff's are. I'm not sure exactly what her powers were. I wanted to stay unspoiled, but I got spoiled by somebody online on Facebook. And but as soon as I saw that she was going to get powers too, I sort of noped out of that. And so I would like not to be spoiled anymore. And so I do know her name is Lightning. I don't know what her power set exactly is going to be, but since her name is Lightning, I'm glad I can guess that her powers are going to be sort of close to what Jeff's are. So I wonder when those are going to come, because then I might be a little more interested in what's going on with her. Right now, I'm not interested in her relationship with Khalil, because I don't know whether she feels guilty, but I don't understand why she would feel guilty. But then you don't really need a reason to feel guilty about something happening to him. I mean, I guess maybe she is the one that convinced him to go to the protest. I'm not really sure. And like I said, I don't really care about what's going on with Jennifer right now. But I do kind of care what's going on with Khalil, because Khalil is about to get into some shit. So she continues to go see Khalil, and she tells Khalil that she quit. So I'm guessing she waited the 2 days and she quit track. And she tells Khalil that she quit track. Well, Khalil tells her that a famous news person, and I guess a local news person in their area, is wants to interview him, because she says that the people of Freeland care and they're worried about him. And during this conversation, he tells Jennifer that she's his ride or die. And Jennifer does not look like she wants to be Khalil's ride or die. She smiles and nods at that to agree with him. But she's not feeling that. So maybe, I don't know if she's not as into Khalil as he's into her. And it must feel really terrible for that to be the case, especially at this point when he's in the hospital, sort of fighting to try to get back on his feet, and she's not really that interested. Ugh, this sucks. That's even though I'm not really into her story right now, what's happening with her really sucks, especially because I don't know, it would be a real dick move to break up with your boyfriend while he's in the hospital. Oh, try to recover from a gunshot wound to his spine. Oh my God. Oh, it's terrible. So, after that, after she continues to visit him back and forth, off and on, and Khalil at one point gets a bunch of gifts. He gets a video game, he gets a bunch of clothes and shoes, and he tells Jennifer that the person it's from an anonymous donor, and the person that sent them also is also footing the bill for his medical bills and helping his mother with rent. And this is all from an anonymous person as far as Khalil knows. And Jennifer seems sort of suspicious, but after that happens, Khalil's mom and Jeff and the doctor walk in, and that's when Jeff breaks the news that Khalil's spinal cord is severed. And this is one of the Black Jesus moments that Jeff has, because Khalil's mom specifically called Jeff to break this news to him. And when the doctor is about to tell Khalil that about his spine, Jeff stops him, and Jeff tells Khalil himself. So I guess that is sort of his Black Jesus, one of his Black Jesus moments with Khalil. And I mean, that's it. Khalil officially spinal cord severed, will never walk again. And what the fuck is he gonna do? What is Jennifer gonna do? Can she stay with him like this? And I'm not like this. Like there's something, um, but that's like a heavy burden for someone as young as she is. And even if he had, recovered, I, I don't. It's not like she would expect to be with him for the rest of her life. They just started their romantic relationship. I don't know how long they've been friends, but you know, that's just it's a heavy burden for her, and who knows what's going to happen. I hope she gets her power soon though, because that would be interesting to me. So that's it for Jennifer. She didn't do anything else. She quit track. She cried and she visited Khalil. That was it for her. So on to my girl Anissa, because that is where it's at. I love her. She's so great. And Anissa has just spent this entire episode wanting to beat people's asses, just looking for any excuse to whip somebody's ass. She just wants to use her powers, and she's looking for any reason to use them. Any confrontation, it feels like any confrontation she has, she's going to think about, whether she should use her powers. That's what it feels like. I don't think she's going to be walking down the street whipping everybody's ass, but she is looking for a fight in this episode, and she gets it. She's just driving down the street randomly, and she sees two of her students, two girls, trying to buy drugs, and from these two drug dealers. And she, drives up on them, makes them get in the car, and the students, I thought it was just Jennifer that called her Harriet Tubman, but even the students call her Harriet Tubman, because as soon as she drives up and she calls their names, one of the girls is like, "Oh, Harriet Tubman is here," and I'm like, "What? Can you just call your teacher that?" Like, Harriet Tubman, seems nice, but it's not really a positive as far as the students are concerned. Like, Harriet Tubman means that she's like the police coming up in that joint, right? I don't know. It's not a positive thing. I thought it was just a Jennifer thing, a thing that Jennifer made up to call her sister, but maybe it's just a case where Jennifer is still a student at the school that Anissa teaches at too, so maybe students pick up on that from her as well. Who knows? It's not that big a deal. I was just like a little taken aback by it, I think. And so she talks to the drug dealers, asking them how they could sell this shit to their people, how do they sleep when they sell this shit to their people, and obviously they don't want to hear anything from her, so she just sort of walks away, and one of them calls her a bitch, and then they show her a gun, and then Anissa, she wants to walk up on them, she wants to fight them, but she turns around and she walks away, and she gets this look. Like, I called it the black mama smirk and head nod, because it's the look that your mother got, or your grandmother in my case, when you were a kid and you were acting out in front of other people and you were embarrassing them, but they couldn't really do anything to you at that moment. So it's just like that. It's the smirk and the nod, but in their head they're like, I'm going to beat that ass when we get home. Like, you wait. And that is how Anissa was looking at these two drug dealers. One of them was Odell Beckham Jr. Not really, but he looks like Odell Beckham Jr. He had the hair, the Odell Beckham Jr. kind of hair. It was like dollar store Odell Beckham Jr. I call him. And she was giving him the smirk and the head nod, like, just wait until I come back here and beat your asses. And that's what she does. Before she does that, though, she has dinner with her father, her parents, and Henderson and his wife, Mrs. Henderson. She doesn't have a first name, or her first name is Mrs. I don't know. They don't give her. Does Henderson have a first name? Does anybody know Inspector Henderson's first name? I don't. I'm sure Jeff has used his first name, right? Because they're friends. I can't remember that dude's name. So I'm just gonna forget it. He and his wife don't have names. It's Henderson, Inspector Henderson. So his first name is Inspector, and Mrs. Henderson, and her first name is Mrs. And that's what it's going to be. So the Hendersons, the Pierces have dinner. Jennifer's not there. And Anissa does the thing where she says, no offense. And, Henderson, she says no offense before she's about to say something. And Henderson is like, before, that's what you always get when somebody when somebody says no offense, they're always going to say something offensive. And I actually got to give Henderson props because he has been getting shit on since the first episode by everybody. And he takes it. He defends himself. And I give him a lot of credit for not just getting pissed at everybody or whatever, but he gets it. LaWanda called him an Uncle Tom. We don't ever see that, but he says that she called him an Uncle Tom. The Reverend questioning whether he was at the funeral as sort of a spy for the white police that's, watching the slaves. So he gets the shit, kicked out of him verbally. He's the Will. He's the Will of the show. Like, Will got beat, his ass beat, like, physically, and until he died. And Henderson is getting, verbally just murdered every episode. And I'm here for it. I don't like Henderson that much. But he has this little... He and Anissa have a little debate about the negatives and positives of Black Lightning in the community. And Anissa is, she's really hyped up about it. She's on 10 at this little dinner party. She is like, Black Lightning is positive. He's saving more people than the police. And Henderson goes back at her and says, what about all the people that are getting hurt by what he's doing? He's saving people, yes, but there's also the collateral damage of the Reverend and Khalil and all the fucking property damage that Black Lightning does, because he does a ton of property damage. Like, he jumps on people's cars for no damn reason other than he's Black Lightning and he can do it. And I guess, he knows that people in the city like him, so they won't get that mad, but he's just fucking up people's cars left and right. So, Lynn gets in on this action, and she should stop because she doesn't want any of Anissa at this dinner party, because Anissa is not trying to hear anybody's bullshit. Lynn is going at her saying, you what about Black Lightning's family? It has to be a real toll on them. And she's sort of arguing with Jefferson, but not through Anissa. And Anissa is like, no, fuck that. Who cares about their family? His family should be proud of him for protecting the city. And Jeff, when Anissa starts defending him, he basically wants to sit there and party in Lynn's face. He wants to dance, but he sits there, he sips his wine, and he smiles because his baby girl got his back without even knowing it. It's funny because he doesn't say a word when Lynn steps in to talk to Anissa, to sort of get into the debate with Anissa. He doesn't say anything. He sits there and smiles, and I appreciated that because Lynn is, I'm not feeling Lynn and Jefferson anymore, y'all. Sorry. I'm just I'm done with their relationship too. Mm-mm. We'll get into it later when we get into Jeff, but I'm not feeling it. So Anissa leaves the dinner party after she she wins the debate. Anissa won the debate because she just wasn't having anybody's bullshit. And so she leaves the dinner party and she goes back to those drug dealers. It's night. It's nighttime. They're in front of a store now. Anissa pulls up her hood, walks over to those guys, and basically just flings them across the parking lot. And she actually gets scared because the guys, once she throws them, they're concussed or whatever happens to them. They're not conscious anymore, laying on the ground. And she walks over to one guy and she sort of checks his pulse, and he's like breathing, and he's breathing irregularly. And you see her face and she gets a little scared that she like, oh shit, I wasn't trying to kill these guys. I was just trying to. She was upset because she got called a bitch and she was looking for any reason to get into a confrontation, and she went back when she probably should have just left this alone, because nothing that those guys did, they called her a bitch. They were selling drugs. One guy had a gun, but nothing they did, as far as she's concerned, she should have just left it alone probably. But she didn't, and she wound up calling the police because she was so scared about, one of those guys dying. She called 911 and she, got an ambulance there for my desk. We never see them, but of course she's scared. She's checking their pulses. And she called them from her cell phone. So I wonder if they can track that. Can they track cell phone calls like that? But I guess there wouldn't be any need to. And I wonder if those guys would even say who attacked them, because Anissa is a bit smaller than they are. So, and I believe they would know that she was a woman, even with her hood on. They would recognize that she was a woman. So yeah, I don't think, even if they could identify her, I don't know that they would want to tell them that this, sort of smaller woman had beat their asses. So she's probably safe there, but Anissa has to get her act together. I think you can't, if you're going to be a superhero, you probably can't let bitch be the the word that sort of sets all your alarms off and makes you want to just fuck people up. It probably has to be, you probably have to learn to control yourself a little bit better if you're going to be, or maybe not, because Jeff just fucks. When he was trying to save his daughters, he was just fucking everybody up, no matter what happened. So, maybe in Freeland you can just go wild and nobody will say anything, but Anissa has to get her shit together, because nothing those guys did, like I said, was death worthy, or probably not even worthy of her going back there. But you could tell when she left that dinner party, she was definitely on the I gotta go get these guys track. She was, sort of one track mind kind of thing at that point. So after that happens, Anissa is with Grace when coming out of the lesbian bar, when I think it's like 4 or 5 guys walk up to them, and they recognize Grace because she's a bartender, and they're basically these homophobic guys that Grace already has a restraining order against. And one of the guys attacks Grace when she tries to call the police. They knock her down. and she like gets a concussion, her head is bleeding, and Anissa just goes off on them and she fucks them up. You don't see that until the end of the episode, but she fucks them up, throws them all over the parking lot. And when she gets Grace inside and when she's talking to Grace, she asks Grace she says that if she had the power to do something to change things, should she do it? And Anissa basically just wants permission to be a superhero. And she's not giving Grace all of the information, but Grace says, yes, if you have the power to enact change, you should do it. But Grace was also saying was it the last episode? Whenever she met her and they were talking about how lonely is being a superhero, Grace was saying that it's lonely being a superhero and that she wouldn't like it. So I don't know. Are Grace and Anissa going to clash over Anissa's powers? Would Grace have agreed that Anissa should do something if she knew that she was like this superpower person? I don't know. But I hope she tells Grace. I don't want this to be like one of those things where she's like keeping secrets from her, because I'm over Lynn and Jeff, but I am here for Anissa and Grace. So Anissa better get her shit together and tell Grace the truth, because, I want them to stay together, at least for right now. I want them to have a nice sexy scene like she got with who's the other girl? I don't remember that girl's name. Anissa probably doesn't even remember that girl's name. But whoever she was, I want Anissa to have another one of those moments with Grace. So let's move on to my favorite characters, the villains. Lady Eve and Tobias. So Lady Eve is, okay, we know that she owns a funeral parlor, and in this episode, she is embalming a nigga. She has the she has the big suction thing in there. She's sticking it all into his like stomach and everything. It is so, you don't really see anything, but she's waving she's waving that bloody thing around in Tobias's face. It's gross. Anyway, Lady Eve, and she's doing this embalming thing, and she's wearing her nice clothes. Like, she's dressed up. She's wearing her pearls. She's got her titties all up, and she's wearing a nice dress. And she's also embalming a nigga while she's talking to Tobias. She's a multitasker, and I appreciate that. It's so crazy. So she's telling Tobias that she actually tells Tobias this story about how in Africa, in some parts of Africa, albinos are considered magical, and their bones are used by people that ground into dust. And she's telling that story to Tobias with it's like she's talking to, like, she's she was a kindergarten teacher, and she's telling the kids a story. It's wild. I really like Jilly from Philly in this role of Lady Eve. She's really cool. And so she's telling Tobias that her partners, Lady Eve has partners in this, I don't know, crime thing, this crime syndicate they have. She has partners, so that she doesn't have any superiors. She has like partners. It's like a business, an actual corporation they got here, an illegal corporation they have. She has partners, and she's telling Tobias that she respects how he reinvented himself in the criminal game, but his whole reputation was based on the fact that he killed Black Lightning. And now that everybody knows that Black Lightning is still alive, it's like Tobias lied on his resume. And so he has to do something to fix that. And not only does it look like he lied, but now he's bringing a lot of attention on himself by having the shooting the Reverend, and paralyzing Khalil. He is just really fucking up, and he's trying to say, hey, I made one mistake, but I made you millions of dollars. And she's saying, it's not just one mistake. Your first mistake was not killing Black Lightning. And now all of this other shit is piled on top of it. Get your shit together, or we're going to be like the the Africans, and we're going to grind your ass up into dust, Tobias. And I liked when she went from, school teacher to crime boss. I'm going to kill your ass. I'm going to grind you into dust if you don't work this shit out so quick. And I just love her. I love the way she's able to make the transition from, sweet to menacing. And I like her interactions with Tobias, because Tobias he's not afraid of her. He recognizes that she's his superior, but he's not cowering around her the way that Latavius cowered with Tobias. The way Latavius was obviously scared when he was talking to Tobias. So I like this dynamic that they have, because I feel like she would kill him, but I don't feel like Tobias would just go down the way that Latavius did. I don't feel like Tobias would go down without a fight. So I appreciate that about this relationship that they have. Okay, after Tobias leaves, we actually see the person that she's embalming, and the guy opens his eyes. So what the fuck is that? Does Lady Eve have some sort of magic going on? Like, what is that is happening? Because the dude straight up, he opens his eyes, he takes a breath. What is going on here? I don't understand. I don't know what that is, but that is interesting, and I want to know more about Lady Eve and what she's got going on. So Tobias goes to the medical examiner, and he beats the shit out of the medical examiner, because this medical examiner told him 9 years ago that the body that they fished out of the river was Black Lightning. And the guy, he was telling the guy that he was like, why did you lie to me? Did you see Black Lightning's body? And the guy was like, well, there was only one person in the river. Like, how many people could have been in the how many bodies could have been in the river? I thought it was him. And Tobias is like, was he dressed like Earth, Wind, and Fire? I died when he said that. And he's like, well, if he wasn't dressed like Earth, Wind, and Fire, then it wasn't him. And the guy didn't know what he was talking about. He was like, it was a white guy. He was like, Earth, Wind, and Fire. Like, white people have heard of Earth, Wind, and Fire, right? They're popular. I feel like everybody should know an Earth, Wind, and Fire song, even if you don't know them by name. Like, you hear one of their songs, and it's like, oh, of course, that's Earth, Wind, and Fire. I don't know why I'm getting mad at that guy. It's like he's like fighting for his life in that moment. He can't worry about Earth, Wind, and Fire. He's got other problems. And but I also love that they make fun of Black Lightning's old suit. It's so great. The other guy, the old guy in the video from when Black Lightning saved him said that he was dressed like somebody from Parliament Funkadelic, and Tobias said he's from Earth, Wind, and Fire. So it's really funny when they make fun of Jeff's old suit. So Tobias actually kills that guy, or he has his minion like beat that guy to death. And then he calls his sister Tori, who's about that life, and I'm about Tori. I love me some Tori. Tori was in this show for maybe 5 minutes, but she was so great. Because she comes right in. She gives her brother a hug. They have this like really nice relationship. So you feel like it's like this great family moment. And they hug each other. And then she backs away and she's like, so how are you gonna kill that nigga Black Lightning? And it was like, okay, all right, Tori, I see you. Let's do this. So they're watching the newscast. Khalil is on, and they listen to his story, and Tori comes up with the plan that Tobias should use Khalil to make the people of Freeland hate Black Lightning. And once the people hate Black Lightning, it'll be easy for Tobias to take him out, because Tobias is saying since Tobias has warrants, he can't go out just in the day and kill Black Lightning and risk getting caught. So he's going to use Khalil. And we find out that the anonymous donor that was giving all the stuff to Khalil is Tobias. Tobias goes to Khalil's, Tobias just appears in Khalil's room with the lights off. Khalil turns over and sees this dude sitting in his chair, just watching him sleep for a little while. And Tobias talks to him and he says, Tobias has that voice. I told you that I like Tobias's voice. And so Tobias is just basically manipulating Malik. Why do I keep calling this nigga Malik? Khalil. He's manipulating Khalil by saying, he says that Black Lightning ruined his life too, and that he wished he had somebody around to help him out after Black Lightning ruined his life, and that he wants to be the one to help Khalil get back at the person that did this to him. And he's saying that the person that did this to him is Black Lightning. And this is why I think Khalil is going to take a turn for the worst. Or not for the worst, but a turn to the bad side. And this is why I told y'all he has a dick face, a douchey face, and he is going to be a problem. I'm right. And, this was why I don't like him, but, whatever. I'm right, though. I'm the first person that said this. Just everybody be aware that I'm the first person that said that Khalil was going to take a turn to the bad side. So that's it for Tobias and Lady Eve and my girl Tori. And on to the main man, Jefferson Pierce, Lynn, and the other love of his life, Gamby. So Jeff has a ton of problems in this episode. He has when he first walks into school, the very beginning of the episode, he has a student that is high on a drug called Green Light. And Green Light is apparently this super addictive drug that's like the equivalent of like heroin and I don't know, PCP or something like that. It's this super drug that is immediately addictive. Like after one hit of this, their pills, after one, you take one of these pills and you're immediately addicted. And this boy, Bernard is his name, is like, he's so high. And whatever this drug does to you, it turns you into like a Hulk, because Bernard like pulls a urinal off the wall and throws it at Jeff. And Jeff actually has to blast the dude twice before he'll even fall. So green light is some crazy shit. And Jeff got a ton of problems because now the 100 gang is starting to invade his school in another way. Not the violence that he was trying to protect it from before, but it's the drugs. And there's nothing he can really do about that right now. So he sort of protects Bernard. He hides the drugs that Bernard had on him in the bathroom. He doesn't expel Bernard, because that's the penalty for doing drugs in school. And he actually helps Bernard out. He hides it. He says that Bernard won't be expelled because he talks to Bernard and his dad, along with Vice Principal Thirsty. And he tells Bernard's dad and Bernard that, he's going to help Bernard out, but Bernard has to tell him where he got the drugs from. And Bernard is like, Mr. Pierce, I'm not a snitch. And Bernard's dad is like, nigga, tell this teacher where you got these drugs from. He's like, you are a snitch. Tell him where you got. And that's I loved it, because it's such a, I don't know. Is it just as a parent move? I know it's a Black parent move. It's something that my grandmother would totally say, like, you're going to tell the truth. You're going to tell what you know. Like, you're not protecting anybody out here. Tell what you know. So I love that moment with Jeff and this Black father. It was a funny thing. And so Jeff gets Gamby, the jack of all trades. Gamby figures out this drug, and he tells Jeff about how addictive the drug is. And Bernard gave him a name of this drug dealer that he got it from. And Gamby is like already sitting outside of this drug dealer's place. And apparently this guy died. And we find out that Gamby listens to Biggie, because he quoted the 10 Crack Commandments when he's talking to Jeff. He was like, this guy, the guy that Bernard told Jeff about, he was like, this guy broke one of the rules. He was like, never get high on your own supply. I was like, oh my God, Gamby is like, he truly is a jack of all trades. He knows Biggie. He invents some crazy tech shit, and he has unlimited money. I want to know all about Gamby. We need a whole Gamby episode. I need to know more about this dude Gamby. It is so crazy. So, eventually Gamby and Jeff decide that Jeff wants to go at the 100 gang to try to get the drugs out of the neighborhood, to try to get specifically this green light out of the neighborhood, because it's not only super addictive, but it's been kills people at a really high rate. It's like 20 or 30 people have overdosed, and like a lot of those people died. So Gamby tells Jeff, it's not just a low level drug dealer thing. If we're going to go at the 100, we have to keep going up the ladder until we get to who is really supplying this stuff. So Jeff goes to eventually a guy named, listen to this, a dude named Two Bits that Jeff grew up with is a name that comes up as the person that's giving out the green light. And Two Bits, I can't even with these with these the nicknames on this show, but at least they call it out on the show. The person that tells Jeff about 2-Bits says that acknowledges that his name the name 2-Bits sounds like a 70s slave name. So at least they acknowledge that this shit is stupid. And I don't want to call this nigga 2-Bits, but they don't give him another name. At least I can't remember if Jeff called him by another name. So I'm going to call him 2-Bits in this case, but I don't like it. So Jeff tries to talk to him. This is another Black Jesus moment where he goes to talk to 2-Bits, and he tries to get him to stop by making him think that the police might be after him. He's trying to make him think like, I came here to warn you about is basically the attitude that he's trying to take. And 2-Bits is like, nah, I need to do this. I got to take care of my family. Thanks for the heads up, Jeff, but, basically get the fuck out. And Jeff is like, okay, well, I have to go back as Black Lightning. So he goes back. He fucks up everybody in the bar around 2-Bit. And then 2-Bit tries to negotiate with Jeff. This was the funniest thing in the episode. So 2-Bit tries to negotiate with Jeff, and he's telling Jeff, yo, I know your MO. You come in, you knock the person out, and then you call the cops. And 2-Bit is saying, I can't, you can't call the cops on me. This is, if I go to jail this time, it'll be 30 years. This is my third strike. And Jeff is like, well, you should have thought about that. And 2-Bits is like, what, should I go to jail for 30 years? It's 30 years, man. And Jeff is like, okay, if you tell me who supplies you with the green light and you stop selling to the kids, I won't call the cops. And 2-Bits is like, all right, yeah, we can do that. But before you knock me out, he pulls out a phone and says, can you take a selfie with me and make sure you light up? It was, I died. It was so funny. I could not stop laughing when this dude was like, when he pulls out his phone, especially when he pulls out his phone, but then he puts his arm around Jeff and he's like, make sure you light up. And Jeff just knocks him out. It was so funny. It was, oh my God, it was too funny. So Jeff and Gamby are doing a stakeout of this like, these trucks that are delivering all the green light of I don't know what this place is, but this is where Jeff gets even more new tech from Gamby. So Jeff calls it, when we see it, it looks like X-ray, but Gamby says that it's like it gives how do you describe it? It's a power. He gets the power signature of everything that's powered around the city. So it's basically an X-ray, but it's everything that has power, electrical power. He can see through everything that has electrical power. So you see him looking through this warehouse and he can see everything. It is so crazy. How does Gamby afford this? This is nuts. He's a tailor. He owns he owns a tailor shop and there's never anybody in there, and he's also never there. So where does his secret money come from? Where does it come from? Anybody tell me, please. Is Gamby in the books? Like, this is something that I would actually be okay being spoiled on, because this shit is nuts. So while Jeff and Gamby are doing their stakeout at the warehouse, this is when we get Jeff, while he's there talking to Gamby, they're talking through like the intercom thing, and they hear something that sounds like explosions, and Jeff wants to go check it out, but while he's going there, he tells Gamby, like, look at the video, tell me what you see over there, tell me what these explosions are. And what the explosions are is Anissa fucking those guys up. You see Gamby sees the surveillance cameras. He sees her. I don't think he recognizes Anissa, but he sees her like stomp her foot and she breaks the concrete. And so what happens is Gamby lies to Jeff again. Jeff asks Gamby what he saw, if he saw anything. And Gamby says no. What the fuck? Like, really, Gamby? I don't understand why he would lie about that. I don't understand why he lied about Tobias last time. I really don't understand this, because he obviously recognizes that this is another superpower person. And he even, after he tells Jeff that he didn't see anything, he tells Jeff to go home. And he gets out a gun and he goes down to where Anissa was and he takes pictures of the scene. So I don't know. I don't know. But I don't know what is going on with Gamby, because I like Gamby and I want to trust him, but he is so fucking shady right now. I have no idea why he's keeping these kinds of secrets. Like, what does he think is going to happen? I don't know. Maybe he thinks Jeff is going to quit, but I can't see. I don't know. I really don't. I really don't understand why Jeff and why Gamby is lying, keeping these kinds of secrets from Jeff. Like Tobias and another superhero person around who it ain't right. It just ain't right, Gamby. So that's it for the investigation. I'm guessing this stuff about the green light is going to continue on to the next episode. But to Lynn and Jeff and my problem with them. After Jeff tells Khalil that he's never going to walk again, that his spinal cord is severed. He's in his office and he calls Lynn while she's at work, and he's trying to tell her about Khalil and how he's feeling about the situation and about how he's feeling about all the collateral damage, as he calls it. And he's saying that this is different than it was before. He never had a problem dealing with these kinds of things before, but now he's having a real hard time. And I'm guessing it's because these things hit so close to him now, closer now than they did before. Like, the Reverend got shot while he was there. Khalil got shot, while he was there. So I'm guessing that's the reason, but Lynn was just not trying to hear it. She listened for a few seconds, and then she just told him, I can't talk right now, Jeff. I'll have to talk to you later. And she just sort of rushed and got off the phone with him. And I don't understand their relationship right now. They're having dinner with the Hendersons, like they're, two couples having dinner together, but I don't understand what is happening with them. And I'm starting to get tired of it. I'm not feeling this whole thing. And she calls later. She calls him back later. She leaves a message telling him that she loves him and that she's just still having a hard time with the Black Lightning thing. And I'm just, girl, just shit or get off the pot. Either be with him or don't. But it's been 9 years since they were together, since they were married. So I'm just really not here for the drama that's going back and forth in this relationship. And it feels like it's not something that's going to last once she finds out that Anissa has powers, and when Jennifer eventually gets her powers as well. It's not her position is going to change once she finds out that her daughters also have superpowers. So I don't know why we're playing this game with them when I don't think it's going to last. And it's not really interesting to me the way that they're doing it right now. So I don't know. I'm really off the Jeff and Lynn ship thing. I'm not, I don't care whether they get together at this point. Maybe they can do something to sort of suck me back in. I'm always open to that, but as of right now, I'm no longer invested in any further relationship between them. I appreciate the way that they can co-parent, but I'm not here for the drama of their sort of will she or won't she take him back. You know, Jeff can move on. They can both move on as far as I'm concerned. Jeff can be with the love of his life, Gamby, and Lynn can move on to find somebody else that has no superpowers and just wants to sit around with her or whatever. Like, I'm so over it. That sounds mean, but I'm just not feeling it right now. So, what else? That's it, I believe. Vice Principal Thirsty is still thirsty, and I'm not. I feel like she's going to be a problem later because Jeff had to deal with the school board, and it feels like she's more on the school board side in this episode, and she's still trying to, like, quote unquote, subtly get with Jeff. But, you know, she tells him once again that she's here for, she'll be there for him if he ever needs to talk. So she's still, that's her move. And she keeps trying to make that move, hoping that she'll get a different result. But, yeah, she's really thirsty and I don't trust her at all. So I can't wait to see what happens next week. I wonder how far this Khalil thing is going to go, like with Tobias. I wonder if he and Jennifer will stay together. You know, I wonder what she's going to do with Khalil. I want to know why Gamby keeps lying. That's the biggest thing that I want to know. Yeah, why Gamby keeps telling Jeff all these lies, keeps hiding all these things from him, and how long he can keep doing it. This is so crazy. There's so much going on. I can't wait until the next episode. I wonder, is this show going on hiatus? Because I know The Flash is going on hiatus until the 27th. And I think it's because of the Olympics. Nobody wants to compete against the Olympics. So maybe Black Lightning is going on hiatus too. I haven't checked. Damn it. I should have checked before, but I completely forgot. So I don't know. Hopefully, fingers crossed, next week we get a new episode. But if not, you can help me out. Do me a big old favor by going to iTunes and leaving me a 5-star review. If it's really nice, I will read it on the show. And even if it's not so nice, as long as it's a 5-star review, I'll read it on here. You can follow the podcast on Twitter at TINerdPod. You can follow me personally on Twitter at the Ms. Introvert. And you can follow the podcast on Instagram at The Introverted Nerd and like the Facebook page at facebook.com/The Introverted Nerd. And if you want to leave me feedback and tell me what you think about Gamby's lies and Vice Principal Thirsty, you can email me at theintrovertednerd@gmail.com. So until next week, or maybe a few weeks from now, definitely not a few weeks from now. Until the next Saved by the Bell episode next Way Back Wednesday. I'll talk to you later, people. Bye.